Well, Mayor Bob, welcome back to Mayor's Monday here at WSAU, WSAU.com. Great drive down to Marshfield today. A little tiny bit of road construction coming into town and coming into downtown, but you've got everything in pretty good shape down here, and you're kind of hoping to keep it that way for the next year or so, right?
Yeah, we are. If you remember last year when we did these, when you had to come through town and going through Central, when that was all ripped up, that was a bit of a struggle. But our road projects have gone well. I mean, that's one of the big things that citizens say over and over is roads, roads, roads. So those programs have gone, the roads have they've gone pretty smooth so far. We haven't really had any interruption there, and they've been on time. We have a fair amount of projects going on in the city. One that we're very excited about is the old Hefco pool. Has now been repurposed. It is now the Vandahay Waters, and we've made it through all of the fundraising committee. Was able to reach over the goal of $3 million, and I think they raised 3.37. So that was very good. So construction has started on that. We made a big, thing back a while ago is, do we open the pool or do we not open the pool, especially with, COVID and whatnot. And there was just a little window of opportunity there where so in other words, there's two things that can happen. Go through your normal pool season this year, and it cost us a lot of money to get that pool the way it was, get it ready to go. Begin construction after that and then not have a season at all next year because we wouldn't be able to get it done in time. Or not have a season this year, go out for bids, which were preferential because of the times, and then be able to open up next year for a full season next year. So with raising the money and with getting preferential bids and whatnot, we were able to move that project along. So they've actually started on it, which is very, very exciting. And the utility building is Marshfield Utilities is looking to build as well. That's going to be a very modern building. So when people come in from the south end of town, it's really going to look different in a couple of years, and we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, and speaking about the pool, I know that's something that a lot of people have been very excited about. There was a lot of nostalgia, though, as well, in saying goodbye to the old facility, but what can people look forward to with the new facility? I mean, you said you got good bids, you raised some extra money. Are there going to be some more amenities maybe poured into that?
Well, it's just going to be beautiful. It's not just going to be a pool, but they call them vessels, I think. So there'll be two separate ones. So a big one for the kids with slides, and then another one with a diving area. There'll be a lazy river, which will it'll help people that are maybe doing rehab to walk the opposite way in that. And there'll be a field house in there, and it's really just going to be beautiful. We're very, very excited about it. And on the south end of town, we're going to have that. We'll have the new Marshfield Utility Building. Then right across the street, of course, is Wildwood Park and Zoo and the upper and lower pond, as well as the drive-through zoo. So that whole south end is really going to have a very unique look. We're very excited about it.
Be a family destination area, right?
Absolutely. And if you look at the new stadium that was put in at the high school, and the new baseball fields and the football stadium, and of course the new YMCA, and Hackman Field hosts a lot of different baseball tournaments and whatnot, which we've even had. We have not sponsored any of them, but they did come. Because they are open fields. And so you're really looking at a place with Marshfield where families can come, or anybody can come. Maybe you're going to go play baseball or football or go play hockey or whatever, and then you're going to have things to do in between games. And so all of these things has been great for Marshfield, great for Marshfield businesses, and just gives folks in Marshfield something to do.
Yeah, and speaking of businesses in Marshfield, they've had a tough go of it this year. There's certainly no question about that. You mentioned last time we spoke virtually via Zoom, talking about just how proud you were of the community for coming in and rallying around some of those businesses. Now that we're a little further in, what are some of the other challenges that Marshfield businesses have seen? And I guess even here at City Hall, as you can see behind you, the face shields in between where the city councilors sit. I mean, what kind of adjustments have you made there?
Well, for safety purposes, we make sure to social distance. You know, I've got my mask here, we're doing this, but
Yeah.
I've got my mask with me at all times. And when you go into an enclosed stores or whatnot, you do have to have them. So as far as our businesses are concerned, you know, when the mask mandate came out, that was a new hurdle. And certainly what we've learned and what our businesses have learned is that this year, as you well know, you get thrown hurdles constantly, constant hurdles. And you have to be able to roll with those. And our businesses, you know, many of our restaurants that were dine-in restaurants, when the initial stay-at-home order was there, they had to completely change their whole business model. They had to go from serving people there to do more takeout, and there was challenges with that. And then they acclimated to that, and I think now people are they're fatigued. Everybody understands that this coronavirus is not good. Everyone understands it. But people right now are fatigued. You know, kids are trying to get back to school. There's the issue of, is it safe to go back? So you've got that dynamic. So there's just a lot going on. You've got an upcoming election. So right now, you know, times are tough. We are doing what we can to stay optimistic. But I will tell you, the outpouring from the citizens of Marshfield, there's an interesting fact. We raised more money for the pool during COVID than we did the prior 9 months. And I think that shows you that the love that the citizens of Marshfield have for their community, because I will tell you, to all of our local businesses and whatnot, restaurants, people, the local folks have really, you know, doing a lot of takeout and whatnot, and their social distancing and whatnot. They're really trying to help the businesses. And so far, we're doing okay. Every now and then you hear of a different business that's not going to be able to keep going, but we're hopeful that we're going to get through this.
Get through this and find a way to come out on the other side even better than you were before. I think that's the challenge everybody's facing right now.
Absolutely. You know, we're not in a bubble here in Marshfield. This is something that every city, municipality, town, state, everybody, we're all being faced with this. But one thing I have noticed with people is people can tend to be a little bit more short-fused and whatnot. It's growing. I mean, there's a lot of frustration. You know, when you go to the supermarket, you got to wear a mask and all these other things, and sports aren't on and new movies aren't out. And I understand that the theaters are going to be able to open in a while, so I think that's good. But people are really chomping to get back, which is why it has been nice is that the summer has been relatively mild. And so people have been out, you know, they've been able to get out and go hiking, fishing, and do all those things. That's been a nice outlet.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the movies right there. You hit it right on the head for me. We've got the theater going to open in Rothschild, and actually last weekend it opened, and they are going to have some new releases out there. So that's certainly something that I've been looking forward to personally. But you brought up another great point in there as well regarding the election. I saw it when I came into City Hall here. You've got a computer kiosk set up with the myvote.wi.gov website up. How can people start requesting their absentee ballots here in Marshfield, and how do you plan to handle the upcoming presidential election?
Well, they can go online. You know, we've had practice with elections. I think so far we've had 4, and so all the municipalities have, and that's an added expense to municipalities. It's really something. Deb Hall, our city clerk, she's done an amazing job. Her staff has been amazing. There's been a lot more mail-outs taking place when people come in to do in-person voting. We have that available here in the council chambers, and they only allow 5 people in at a time. That went very smooth. And went out at the election, the different election locations, for the most part, people acclimated very well to it. They stayed socially distanced. We made sure that all of our workers who are volunteers primarily were there and that they were safe. So we're not aware of any outbreak of anything because of these. So one thing that we are very, that I watch daily, I'm on there's a group of leaders, I guess you would say, in Marshfield, about 22, which would include myself, the police and the fire chief, Steve Barg, city administrator, Tom Witzel, the council president. We've got the Wood County health officer, the person up at the clinic, Mackey, both school systems, the university system. We've got a lot of people on this call, and we're keeping an eye on exactly what has taken place. So I think right now, and this changes all the time, but right now in the city of Marshfield, there's been a total of 58 folks that have caught the virus. And right now, as we speak, there's anywhere from 1 to 5. We don't know. Wood County puts out a tremendous, and I know Marathon County does as well, their health departments. They put out tremendous data. That's very, very helpful. That shows the amount of testing that was done, how many people have it. And the one in Wood County shows that in the city of Marshfield, there was 58, I believe, that have had it, and there's between 1 and 5 of those are active right now. So we don't know if it's 1, we don't know if it's 5. But that's a very, very helpful number. Our friends in the south part of the county, they're having issues down there. Their numbers are growing. And it looks like they've slowed that down a little bit, so that is good. So we're very concerned about COVID. We're just very, very tired of it.
Yeah, that you can certainly say that again. And it's going to be something that we'll talk about through the remainder of the year, because as you mentioned to me earlier off camera, budget season is coming up, and right now you are caught in a pattern where you really don't know what you can plan on spending next year, because we don't know how this is going to impact state aid and some of those other metrics that you look at.
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting. We just finished our CIP program where we went through that, and those are all the things we're going to do, the developments we're going to do and whatnot, the capital improvement programs, the roads and everything, projects that we're going to do over the next 5 years. The one that's most prevalent is the one right in front of you, because others might get kicked out. And so this was the guide, this was the blueprint. But now that that is stopped, and we had to get that complete before you start the budget process. So right now, all of the department heads are going through and sharpening their pencils. They know this is going to be a tough year. And so they're getting all their budgets, and they will get those to Steve Barg, the city administrator, and he will start, making cuts, going through, cut here, add here, or whatever. And the council is supposed to give the city administrator's recommended budget to the council. I believe it is on October 16th. So between now and October 16th is really where the rubber is going to meet the road. Because one thing I've learned I remember my first year as mayor, I was calling Steve all the time, do you have it, do you have it? And you learn very quickly that during this budget process, things are changing constantly. We might get a change on an equalization rate after Steve's already put together the budget, and it's 3 days before he's supposed to give it, and it's got to be done over again. So we're really anticipating that. Everybody is concerned about what are the numbers going to be. Is the state going to give us, and the county going to give us the same amount of money that they have in the past? Because that really could be an issue. So right now, as the weather is today, as we do this program, it's beautiful. But it's kind of like when you're sitting here on a really beautiful day, but you folks in the media go and say, but the storm is coming next Tuesday.
Yep.
That's what we call the budget season. The storm is coming. However, I will tell you this. The citizens of Marshfield have been through enough this year. I'm going to advocate, even though I know the reality of budgets and the reality of expenses, the reality of increases, I'm going to work as hard as I can so that there is no tax increase at all. I mean, what else can we do to the taxpayers? And I'm going to fight very hard for that. I believe through making some cuts, or maybe holding things back a little bit, or maybe you have to borrow a little bit more, something. But I don't think that we could put one more thing on the citizens. I'm going to fight really hard for that.
And it's probably a little early to ask how you plan to accomplish that, but do you see that there's maybe a project that could be held back? Is there something that could be maybe purchased 2 years from now instead of this year, where you could have that in the budget, or is that something we'll find out in the next few weeks as the storm comes, as you said?
Well, the initial thing in looking at it, and I haven't seen any of the budgets, but I think there's nothing that I necessarily want to cut. I think there's 330 budgets, right? And we're trying to even narrow that down to get that down. The mayor has a budget. It's a very small one. The city administrator has a budget. Well, it's all administration. Why can't those two just combine and become one? It's administration. And so we're going to see if we can do that. But I'm a big advocate of, we don't need to go out and necessarily cut this whole program. Can we cut 1%? Can we take a dime out of this dollar? And if we do that in each department, maybe we can get by. And if we can't, then maybe we're going to have to borrow a little bit this year, knowing that we have to pay that back. I'm not a big advocate of that. I'm very clear that in order to run a business, you have to run your business. And I get told, over time and time again, that government is not a business. Well, it's not a business, but you can run it efficient like a business. So I'm not going to say that I'm not going to go in and I'm not going to ask, for things to be done. But be that as it may, let's be very, very clear. The council members are the one that vote. I only vote in the event of a tie. And so, but, there's a lot of work to do there. And I know that some of them have that, they don't want a tax increase. And there are some that think, well, we know that payroll is going to go up 1%. We know that the expense for healthcare is going to go up. So with things going up and you've got the same dollar coming in, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So that I don't spend millions of hours over speculating what I will do, I'm going to wait and get that budget. But my approach when I'm looking at it on where we can go, I just want to hear the original number that we're going to be short, if you will. And if I hear we're 300,000 short, so we need to increase our taxes by another 20% to make up that 300, or another 20 cents to make up that 300. I think that 300, we're going to be able to go in and we're going to be able to find some ways to cut that or borrow. But it's a wait and see. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. We will certainly be keeping an eye on the process as it plays out. And the only thing I think we can hope for at this time is that when you, the council, the administration all get in the room to hash that out, that when it's done, you still leave as friends, correct?
Well, you always want to leave as friends.
Right.
But I have learned that being as a mayor and with the council, there are just natural things that you don't agree on, and that's the reality of it. In public life, when you get into politics, it's a contact sport, and if you want a friend, get a dog. My belief is I will fight for the citizens of Marshfield the way I see fit, and I know that that's their point of view as well, and they will fight for the citizens of Marshfield in the way that they think is right. I don't have any problem with that.
Well, we wish you all the best in that process. We'll certainly be checking in as the situation warrants, and hopefully we'll be able to make one more trip down here later this year to chat.
That'd be great. I look forward to it.